Hi everybody, I'm Lee for Bryce Axe and Tool. We're out here on a gloomy Pennsylvania morning. I've got the bit and bark Dingo Pup right here, and we're going to use it to cut down this dead ash tree that's right behind me. So this ash is definitely the largest tree I've ever felled with an axe. It's not quite dead yet, but it is very, very sick. It's been ravaged by the emerald ash borer. You can tell this is a sick tree just by how easy it is for me to pull the bark off right here. That this just doesn't happen with a healthy tree. Before you fell a tree, you have to clear out the area around it to make sure that it's easy for you to chop. Your axe isn't going to get snagged on anything, and when the tree is falling, you're not going to trip on anything, especially if it goes a direction that you weren't intending it to go. You don't want to trip and fall and have the tree fall on you. So, right now I am cutting in my face cut. The face cut is the cut that you make that is going to determine the direction, ideally, that the tree will fall. There's two concepts that you need to understand when chopping a tree. One is the lean, the natural direction that the tree wants to fall, and that's determined by both the angle that the trunk is, for lack of a better word, leaning towards, and also where the weight of the branches are. Often there will be more branches on one side of a tree than the other. And on hardwood trees especially, you'll find that there are sides that are very branch heavy and sides that are not so branch heavy. And you need to consider that when considering the lean of the tree. The lay is where you want the tree to fall. In this case, the lean and the lay are basically the exact same place. I want this tree to fall to the west so that it doesn't fall into the trees over there and it doesn't fall uphill where it would fall on some saplings. So now that we got the basic face cut in, it's time for the fun part where we expand it out and pop some fairly big chips. A few moments later. For those of y'all who've never felled a tree, this is so much work. It's so much work. It is absolutely exhausting. Just swing after swing after swing, trying to be as accurate as you can, trying to chip off as much wood as you can. And guys did this every day. Every day. They'd go and do this, and they'd do this all day. Every day. Crazy. I can't imagine doing that. It wasn't super cold when I started this, at least not by my standards, but it was below freezing, and I was drenched in sweat, like, midway through this. It absolutely exhausting. I was really trying to focus on accuracy when I was felling this tree. I think I did pretty well. How do y'all think I did? When you do your back cut, at least when you're felling with an axe, it's a little bit different when you're doing a chainsaw. I'm not really an expert on chainsaw felling to begin with. I'm not an expert on axe felling either. But when you're felling with an axe, you want to have your back cut slightly elevated above the face cut. This prevents something called kickback. When a tree falls, it's going to want to slide backwards naturally if the stump that you create is completely flat. However, if you have a slightly higher back cut, the result will be that the tree cannot fall backwards, cannot push backwards off of the stump, and it's going to fall forwards instead, snapping at a hinge. Here, I decided that I didn't really like one of the corners of my face cut, so I went back and just sort of made it a little bit better. Felling a big tree like this is not exactly the fastest process, so you have the option to make little adjustments as you go. So I decided to put it in a side cut here. Really was no reason to do that, and I don't even think I did it deep enough to begin with. But, live and learn is what it is. So we're in the final stretch here, and what I realize is that because I'm on a hill, the face and the back cuts are slightly angled. And if I hadn't been paying attention, I would have ended up ultimately with my back cut entering my face cut, which would have destroyed or possibly just weakened my hinge. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to flatten the base, lower the elevation on one side of my back cut so that I can fully preserve as much of my hinge as possible to once again avoid any kickback and make sure I have a strong hinge. One eternity later. Damn. That fell exactly where I wanted it to. Exactly.